What I'm gonna do is go in the studio and make shit that I enjoy making.
Right.
And then I'm gonna put it out.
Hey Songaholics! Today, I've brought you another artistic journey. Let's dive right in.
There's a lot of songs on there. There's one line where the Butter Toes line.
Yeah.
is like the dumbest line on the album, but I made sure that I didn't push myself too hard. I don't need to prove myself.
She's right. What we are doing is art. It's not science. It's not engineering. We are not trying to go to the moon. We just want to create the most beautiful things we can and enjoy the process. Sometimes we create a piece and we simply don't recognize its value. Perhaps it's because we crafted it ourselves, but when an outsider looks at it, that person often notices its greatness more than we do. This is precisely what happened to Doja. Not just once, but multiple times, as she mentions.
Paint the Town Red.
Whoa.
I thought Paint the Town Red was kind of like, it reminded me of like Target or like Macy's. It reminded me of like Gap. I don't know why. It just kind of is that.
Right.
And I know like it starts with a curse word and it's like a little bit edgy in that sense. And like I say, I'm a demon lord. Like, yeah, I get that. But like that song just had a very like pants up high vibe. I didn't really want to have that pants up high song that was, you know what I mean? Like the goofy kind of like palatable. I wanted to make a little bit of a darker, slower album, but I don't think this was the time for that. I think keeping it on the album was a smart move. Yeah, I keep a lot of stuff to myself. I don't complain about anything but just, you know, not creative. Like if I'm not making enough music at a certain time and I find myself like doing photo shoots all the time and I'm like, how the fuck did I even get here in the first place? I was making music. I'm not making any music. That I'm gonna complain about.
All artists face these kinds of issues when they reach a certain point in their artistic journey and become famous. Things start to change. People seem to want to hear more gossip than songs from their favorite artists. But this isn't what artists want. We may desire success as artists, but we definitely don't want to lose our peace or forget, as Doja says, why we started this journey in the first place. So keeping your actions always in check and not letting yourself get distracted is as important as figuring out what to write and how to write it, since distractions won't let us stay in touch with the muse.
I don't talk about my personal life, like my real personal life. I don't get that in depth about that. I don't like to be the person to be like the spokesperson for like depression and like angst and like, you know, dysmorphias and things like that.
This is the first time I've heard an artist say she doesn't like to talk about her vulnerability or use her negative experiences like depression or anxiety. But it's good to know that there isn't one certain way to get where you want to go. So it's wise to listen to her and understand why she thinks that way.
I've had a lot of those things. I've been anxious and I've been depressed and I have body dysmorphia, that's for sure. I don't like talking about that stuff because I don't need to. And it doesn't make me feel better to really just like put that out there and like talk about that sort of stuff.
In the end, the aim is to find joy in our craft. Some artists find healing and comfort in discussing personal struggles, but others, like Doja, feel worse when they do. She avoids this approach to protect her feelings. So if you resonate with Doja's approach, you can follow her routine, because as artists, we are not bound by one formula. If an artist shares their feelings and creates a hit song, but you, like Doja, feel exposed, you don't have to do the same. Just follow your instincts.
I know how involved I am with social, or how involved I was with social media. So going on there every day and seeing people's responses, seeing the responses to that is something that I wouldn't be able to handle. I'm kind of a snowflake. I'm very sensitive. So I know if I talk about things that I'm sensitive about, my vulnerabilities and things like that.
You're afraid people are gonna use them against you?
Yeah, absolutely. And they will, and they have. I just, you know, I keep my mouth shut about that shit.
If you're just starting your writing journey, embrace your anonymity and remember that there will be more to face. Now, if you're not yet known, it's the perfect time to be liberated in your art, because inevitably, in the future, you'll feel pressured by others' expectations.
I feel like when it comes to that sort of thing, I have to just back the fuck away, because that's not what I want to. Politics are not something that I want to sweep into my life. I just want creativity and joy and the immediate reality of like my friends, my family, and my music and whatever, you know.
Yeah, you've got to shield your life from unpleasant things. Anything you dislike, you need to be cautious about because ultimately, you know what's best for your personal life and art when you listen to your instincts. This brings to mind a phrase artist Austin Kleon often says, garbage in, garbage out. This phrase emphasizes how crucial it is to be mindful of what you surround yourself with. Think of it this way, your environment matters a lot. It's not just physical, it includes everything you think about, what you listen to, what books you're reading, and so on. Push aside the trivial stuff and surround yourself with things that will nourish your creativity.
I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to prove myself to a bunch of people who are just gonna project no matter what I say too. There's people who are incredibly dogmatic. It doesn't matter what the fuck you do, what you say, they're always gonna stand by that person's evil.
She's extremely determined not to discuss her personal life and such. While many of us long for a place where we can share about ourselves and be heard, because the reality is that about 90% of what we say often goes unheard. We crave the kind of attention that people like Doja receive, where wherever she says, people listen. But it seems the problem persists no matter how famous we become. So let's set aside the longing and concentrate on creating the best things we can. As Doja points out, the problem is misunderstanding and people going to say their story anyway, and not what you said.
Sure.
You know, you can write a love song that's a pop song and you don't even have to have a boyfriend.
Right.
You can lie,
Right.
you know, which I've done. And so I've just written generalized love songs.
Lately, I've been thinking about whether someone can write a song or a story about something they haven't experienced. And now this saying from Doja Cat got me pondering. I heard about a writer who crafted a captivating prison story even though he had never been in prison. It's the same with songwriting. You can create songs about things you haven't lived through. Is it possible to shape a song without having first-hand experience? The answer is yes. Maybe it's all about trusting your instincts.
I'd love to do a real punk moment, but it's like with live instruments, you know. I mean, I get sent fucking amazing beats constantly, but like I love to work with a band. I love to make sounds and it sort of channels into my sessions in that way. Like a lot of my ad-libs when I rap, like, yeah, like the little like, and like shit like that. Like I love doing that. I love to like push my voice and
Change your voice.
yeah, and I'm not a competitive singer, but the people that I was surrounded by were like jazz people. Like always had like singers, musicians, and all kinds of people around
Just
me.
like family friends.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised by artists like Doja's success because their environment plays a big role. For you and I who are into songwriting, there is a lot to consider and learn. Surround yourself with people who love music and enjoy writing. If it's tough to find such folks in person, try shaping your online environment. Follow others who share your interests and see how they go about their craft. This can automatically inspire you. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe so you won't miss any wonderful songwriting techniques I'm sharing here. Speaking of wonderful techniques, why not watch the next video about Eminem's technique?